Oh, Mr. Unlucky, what are you going to teach us today? Well, we jump back into a 9-person turbo, 55-cent buy-in, sit and go. After the buy-in and after today's daily bonus, you can see we're still at $7.78, which is where we finished yesterday. And Queen Jack, we're going to take a flop. Sky's the limit with 5 people in. Unraised pot. Oh, there's the queen. Great fold by us. Oh well. Still super early, and as you know, we like to be patient. This guy down here had 9-10, no pair, no draw off the flop. No idea what he was doing. One of my favorite cash game hands, 5-6 suited. Don't love it out of position here. Easy fold. So people have been asking me what's the difference between cash game play and sit and go play. And the answer is they are quite different. Cash game play, you're looking to maximize value depending on the hands you play. And in a sit and go, you're looking to survive long enough to get into the money. So you can make a ton of money up front in a cash game, but in a sit and go, you can knock 3 people out on the first hand, not make it to the money, and that full house that you made on hand number 1 is completely useless. So 2 very different schools of thought. We are specializing in sit and goes here because of the limited risk factor in trying to get our bankroll up to $100 from nothing. All right. Don't be surprised if you see me jump around a little bit. If there are not a lot of worthy hands, I don't want you guys to sit through everything. If I don't have any commentary, I'm going to fast forward through some of this stuff, and I'll try to let you know when I do that. Right now, we're on a 5-minute blind structure. Blinds are 1530. We started with 1500 chips as normal, and I am playing on US legal site Global Poker, but no, this is not a paid promotion. So early on in the tournament, you want to really pay particular attention to what kind of hands people turn over at Showdown. It'll give you an idea of what kind of range they have. If you see somebody who's only turning over top 10 hands, aces, kings, queens, jacks, tens, ace, king suited, that type of thing, you know that they're pretty tight, like we try to be. If you see people turning over hands like 9-7 offsuit, which would be a monster here. So here's an 8-6 suited, really had no business being in that hand. Deuce 8. These are easy folds. Six nine got lucky. Even Queen 10 early on to be raising with Queen 10 from that spot. Not super smart, because then you have to rep the hand. If you get re-raised with it, you really shouldn't call, because Queen 10 is garbage, especially right out of the gate. For those of you who are new to the game, you're going to hear me talk a lot about position and being first to act and being last to act and being in early position and being late position. That's all relative to this right here. That's the dealer button. It's the strongest position in no limit hold'em. And the reason being is you are last to act. after the flop, after the turn, and after the river. So when possible, wow, amazing pickoff right there. Great call. Bluffing out of position, almost never a good idea, especially if you have no showdown value at all, like that 3-6 we just looked at. If you're going to try to run fancy bluffs in a turbo sit and go tournament, you're going to go broke pretty quick most of the time. Ace four small blind, not the worst small blind hand in the world. I wouldn't be calling a raise with it. Again, it's too early in the tournament, and we are going to be first to act on every street. So even if we hit our ace and we put in a nice bet, somebody raises us again off the flop, we're probably going to have to fold, assuming they had a big raise. We're going to get a cheap flop. We're going to take a look here. Hopefully Rebel doesn't raise. He didn't. We flopped air with ace high. Most likely worthless in this spot. But if we don't get a bet, early on in a tournament, no pair, no draw equals no go. Don't waste precious chips early on draws or ace highs, hoping you'll catch something. Be tight. Play your strong hands in position. Value bet, which means get maximum value for your strong hands. Don't push all in because you made your full house triumphantly thumping your chest. You want to bet enough to where you get paid, where you make your really good hands, especially if you make the nuts the best possible hand at the moment. So in a cash game, I would call here with Jack 7 suited on the button in an unraised pot. I'm not going to waste the chips right now. And we would have flopped Jack high. Or pair of jacks, top pair. Such is life in low stakes poker. Sitting across from me is one of the greatest unknown live poker players you all may or may not ever have the privilege to meet. My son, who has just an absolutely amazing tournament poker record. I think he's cashed in about 90% of his multi-table tournaments that he's played live, which is damn near impossible. I'm happy if I cash in 30% of them. So maybe someday he'll treat us with some commentary down the road. He's certainly got great insight into the game. I'm a little bit more of a brick and mortar player, even online. He's got a real incredible insight, almost that Daniel Negreanu like Sixth Sense poker skill, which you have to be born with. You can't really develop that too much. A little bit. I base most of my reads on betting patterns because that's really what I know. You'll learn to sniff out betting patterns of opponents online. If you play online poker enough, you'll see if they bet really low on a continuation bet. Usually means they might just be trying to take down the pot. Sometimes those are easy to steal. Hopefully you get a chance to take a look at one of those. Queen 5 garbage, throwing that away. One of the things I will mention while we have a little downtime here is the ability to take notes on your opponents. most of the major online poker sites, if you click on the person, you can type a note in, as you can see there. I'm not really a good note taker. Unless I see something that's absolutely flagrant with an opponent that I play against often, I don't normally put in a note, and I probably should. That could be my New Year's resolution for 2023, is take better notes. Speaking of which, if you have any poker resolutions for this new year, put them in the comments. I'd love to see what everybody's working on. My personal one is not overplaying big pairs out of position. I have a bad tendency to hold on to aces, kings, queens too long, especially if I'm first to act. Here's some classic no limit hold'em: kings versus ace queen. And no gross river card for the kings, and they hold up the way they should. The poker world is in balance. 9-10, another amazing cash game hand. Doesn't have a whole lot of place here in the small blind unless I get to see a cheap flop. And we do. So I'll put in 50 chips. All right, we flopped a gut shot. An 8 would give us a straight, and we've got a 10 high flush draw. This is what we call a trouble hand at this stage. So at the moment, we have no hand. We don't have a pair. We could be in a lot of trouble if he's got queen, king, ace of spades. I'm going to let this go. In a cash game, I'm making that call all day to see another card. But out of position, with no pair and some weaker draws, I just don't want to commit the chips to it. Especially since we are sitting in 6th place out of 6 right now. Ace-7 suited puts us in a tough spot from where we're at. Normally I'd be raising with this hand. In this situation, I'm going to play super tight and let it go. Ace-10's a little better, but we are farther from the button. I am going to raise with it in this spot. This is kind of a toss-up, sort of a feel for the table. They haven't been super aggressive. I'm going to see if I can pick up some blinds here. Both of these players can felt me. If they come over the top and put me all in, it's a decision for all my chips. And I probably would have folded, but since that's the first hand we've played in a while and maybe they picked up on that, good for them. We put down the blinds. Absolutely garbage big blind hand. Even a min raise, I'm probably going to get rid of this. I don't have enough chips to speculate with deuce 5 offsuit. Although free flops with junk hands are great, because if you hit, they're very easily disguised a lot of the times. And if you don't, they're super easy to get away from. Ooh, kings twice this trip so far. He got lucky, spiked the trips on the turn, and that is. I feel for you, Smurf. That's usually what Mr. Unlucky gets himself into. Raises with kings, gets called with a weak ace, either loses to trips or a run out flush or a run out straight. It's gross. Again, cheap flop from the small blind. I'm usually going to call there because the pot odds dictate it, and we flop nothing. Easy fold. Oops, a nice flop for the big blind. So it's good when you flop trip jacks. Hold off on this. So the blinds are up. Next hand, I think we're going to be going to 75, 150. We've only got 1,000 left. General rule is less than 10 times the big blind, you're moving all in. So this is a fairly strong hand in this spot, but since I have a massive all-in in front of me, can't call with it. Chances are I'm up against a stronger ace, a strong ace, or a stronger king, something like an ace-king, something like that. You want to be the aggressor. Oh, this could just be tilt now. Let's see what they do in their big blind. If they push their big blind back at this player here, then they're almost certainly on tilt from that King's debacle they just took. Nope. All right, here's to Doyle Brunson. 10 deuce. If you're not familiar with Doyle Brunson or 10 deuce, I would highly recommend checking it out on Wikipedia. Okay, troubling flop with a 10. Can't pay to continue here. We got second pair. Very wet board. I mean, flushes are out there, straights are out there. Yeah, and anybody with a weak king now is going to call here. Ouch. All right. We only have one move if we're going to play a hand going forward. It's all in. We've got 830 left in chips. 150 is the big blind. We cannot be calling here. I have to be pushing either with a big hand or hoping that folks behind us fold their small and big blind. So ace four, nobody bets her. I got to push with it. It's not the greatest, but I do need to raise my chip stack. And it is an ace. So hopefully we get through. Ravenhawk is also short stacked, so they might get a little frisky with like a queen jack or a queen 10. Not a fan of pocket deuces. It's barely a coin flip at best. Things are going to start moving quickly at this blind level. And we'll probably lose someone before we move to the next, which is 100, 200. We've only got 2 minutes left on that. We might lose Vegas on this hand if he gets nuts. Value bet, and he's got it. Oh, ace nine. It's such a tweener. In between strong and garbage. I'm actually going to wait for something a little stronger. If I was on the button, I would have pushed with it, but that's a lot of people to get through. He may have a huge hand here since he didn't move all in. Yeah. Deuce, that's nothing. One of the things I do like about the sit and go format is it is very finite in terms of payouts and profitability. You basically, if you play well, you've got a 1 in 3 chance or better based on your skill level to make it to the money. And you know how much money that's going to be. I've sat at cash game tables where I've ping ponged back and forth, and after 6 hours, left $20 up or $20 down. It's not necessarily. So the question is, if I think I have the best hand, I should probably call here. Ace 5 suited. I would love to know what you guys would do in this position. This is an either all in over the top or fold. I'm going to fold and wait for a better spot. I like to be the aggressor with the ace 5. Calling with an ace 5 is tough. You're usually behind. But again, Let me know how y'all feel about that. And now we have queens, so waiting for a better hand. Paid off this time. Hopefully they hold up. We only got one taker. We're going to push all of the chips in with the queens. It's the third best hand in poker. Uh-oh. We're up against fours. We just want the queens to hold up here. Excellent. And that's just an excellent double up right there. We moved up to fourth place from sixth. We're at 100, 200 blinds. Things are going to move a little quicker. And I would expect Smurf to be pushing here very soon, if not on this hand. Got to walk. You can't walk the short stack. So there's another piece of strategy. When you have a huge stack like that and someone's on life support, you don't want to let them walk. You want to continue to put pressure in and get rid of that short stack. And I can't call this with a pretty king. Darth should be betting here. If he gets, if a short stack checks to you and you're from the small blind and you're the big blind after the flop, you should be betting 100% of the time unless you flop the world and want to try and induce a bluff on the turn. You should be taking that pot away from them. And also not offering free cards. But most of the time you're going to take that down. All right, ace queen is solid. You could push with it here. Yeah, I think I'm going to push with it. I just don't have enough chips. We're already at 100, 200. I've got 2,000. If we use the 10 big blind rule, it's technically an all-in. I don't want to get called by either of these two. There we go. Unfortunately, if Smurf pushes here, I'm probably going to call with my ace. Yeah, I think I'm ahead. Nope, not even close. Need a little chop would be nice. I'm not going to get it. Good hand.
Going down in temperature.
All right. I was so on the fence there. I was really not feeling it, but the chance for us both to have an ace there in that spot is very low. So even if he's got king queen, which is certainly a pushable hand from that position, I'm still ahead with my ace. I got a call. That was just unfortunate. Plus chip stack sizing had a lot to do with that as well. I had, I think, 2.5 times the chips at that point. All right, well, got lucky. Those are tough beats. You see them all the time, especially online. But ace 10 versus ace 6, and you pop a 6. It's a 3-outer. It's still going to happen. I think about 25% of the time pre-flop. Well, we're going to push here with this. This is not ideal. Ace 10, not a great hand against 4 other players necessarily, especially if we get called by a big stack here. but we'll be good. Now you got a call, Garth. Ouch. King and queen, just a little better. Now the tides have turned. Queen 10 suited is another one of those trouble type hands. I don't want to call off all my money to it, but I've already got 300 invested. We've only got 1100 behind. Getting a lot of walks. That's good for us. All right, gonna get out of the way here. I think Rebel has to call, especially with yeah. He's king versus queen 7, hits the 7. Welcome to the party.
Towels or anything in the room? I'll take those. Towels are white.
As you can hear, it's laundry day around here. Mr. Unlucky is lucky enough to have someone doing his laundry, which is just terrific. And we just moved one step closer to the money. Okay. The problem is we're the short stack. We have a very significant big stack. King 7, just outside of it. If that was King 10, I'd probably push with it four-handed. King 7 is just a little light, especially since he can pretty much call any short stack bet and still be fine. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Ace Jack offsuit. We're calling here. Move. Need an ace or a jack. Ace. Nope. Good hand. All right. Pocket nines held up the way they should. Please subscribe, comment, and like, and I'll see you at the next table.